In this section, we are going to focus on the way in which you can heal when, due to emotional trauma, you feel as if your heart was being stabbed. People who suffer a trauma of this type usually indicate that they feel a pang in their chest when the situation occurs that leads them to experience a breakdown in their relationship. Whether de facto, because the relationship ends, or when you find out that your partner is cheating on you, or when you become disappointed in the person you are linked to. In those cases, the relationship does not end de facto, but it does end virtually. Now, this pang that you feel in your chest generates a gun that in turn causes your heart to contract, because the flow of energy that previously fed your psychic heart is suddenly cut off, and with it, a large part of the psychic energy stops to the rest of your body. So, a treatment for a case of this type will always go hand in hand with defining what injury you are experiencing due to that cut. If you think about it, when you feel like you are being stabbed in your psychic heart, what you experience on an emotional and psychic level is always associated with the fact that someone has betrayed you. Because that person who previously had apparently good feelings for you shows you, without hiding it, the desire to hurt you consciously and with a purpose. If you look, that's what it causes in most people, that feeling that their heart has been stabbed. That is where this psychic gun that I am talking to you about here is located. An example that I can give you to make all this clear to you is that of the person who purposely and consciously deceives their partner and allow others from the environment of the partner they are hurting to do so. See in the company of their new partner. This type of person, which is more common than you might think, performs this act of evil consciously, because in some way he enjoys hurting others. To feel that even though that person suffers, they still continue to love them. That is why most people who feel the pain in their hearts do so because they continue to love a person who constantly hurts them. That hurts them and betrays them, but they do not dare to admit that the betrayal is taking place. If at some point you yourself has a partner who hurt you on purpose, you already know why this feeling of being stabbed in the heart occurs, which, as I have been telling you, is the one that we must treat to resolve a case of this type. So we already know that this pang in the heart is generated by a betrayal that you have experienced by a person who did it on purpose. But that was something that you refused. If you were in my office, the first phase of therapy would be aimed precisely at resolving these two issues. First, how to deal with the insecurity that arises when a person whom you loved so much or with whom you felt a bond and to whom you treated well at one point decides to hurt you. All this generates a process of insecurity that you have to deal with. And secondly, define why you refuse to accept the nature of your partner. If I tell you this, it is because the majority of people who suffer stabbing in the heart do so because they denied the evil of the person they were with, even though they knew that evil existed. So the idea here is for you to think about if you ever had a partner who made you feel that way, like they stabbed you. And on that basis, the next thing you have to think about is whether you yourself were the one who denied those details that that person had, which clearly showed you that he was not someone good for you. These things are best resolved in individual sessions, but with this, you are already building a framework of reference to deal with a situation of this type. Let's now move on to the treatment itself, because stabbing of the heart generates a series of effects that must be treated immediately. First, developing the belief that you were naive for having trusted a person who you knew was not good for you. What I can tell you about this is that you were not naive. You were a good person, someone with a good heart. But it happens that in the world there are people who look for those who have a heart as good as yours, to feed on your light and your goodness. What I want you to observe here is that the problem was actually with the other person, the one who stabbed your heart, who needs to go through life betraying and lying to others to resolve their own conflicts and insecurities. If you were in therapy with me, it would be easier for you to define and discover what problems that person had, because you would explain to me what was happening with him and I could guide you more clearly. But here, the idea is that you become aware of what causes that pang, and that the solution is for you to see again that you were a good-hearted person and that the stabbing was not because of you, but because of the person who hurt you, who has his own problems. All of this is what will allow you to close that wound, and what will help you the most to heal from a heart that has been stabbed is the fact of recognizing that even that pain you are feeling is an opportunity for you to learn to recognize the nature of the people around you. That was the meaning of all this. You must learn to accept when someone you are apparently attracted to or interested in is not someone who has the best intentions. In the next section, we are going to explore how to heal a heart that has been beaten. I see you there.